Hi everybody, I'm JJ Johnson. You're watching Reality Survival. So today what I want to talk with you about is how to start a new prepper group. Now, let me give you a little disclaimer up front. I've never been involved with a prepper group before, and so I decided to go out and try to start my own. And I'll probably do a series of videos on this as the group that I recently started kind of goes along, mistakes we make, things we do wrong, the successes, that kind of thing. But for this video, I just kind of wanted to go through the process and tell you a little bit about, what I did to start it up and get to the initial meeting point. And we had the initial meeting tonight. And who knows how it's going to go. I don't know if it's going to be a success or a failure or whatever, but it was an interesting night and met some really good folks, and hopefully it'll work out good. So to start out with this, basically what I did is I posted an ad on Craigslist, and then I also I went to meetup.com and I paid whatever the fee is to start a basic group there. And I don't remember what it was, if it was like $45 or something a year, I think. And they'll let you start a group. And then, I kind of just filled in the group description, put in some pictures, kind of said a little bit about, what I wanted the group to be about and all that kind of stuff. And then slowly but surely over the next probably, 3 weeks or so, we had about 20, I think we've got 21 people that joined the meetup group. And so we listed to have our first meetup tonight, and we went just to a local bar and grill and just did kind of a meet and greet. There was no specific agenda or anything like that. It was just hey, come over and shake people's hands and hear a little bit about their story and why they prep and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what we did. And we ended up having 8 that said they were going to show up, and then 6 actually did, show up. I think it was 6. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. And so that's a pretty good turnout. I was really pleased with that, because I was kind of expecting if we said 8 was going to come, that maybe 3 or 4 would show up. So I thought that was pretty cool. And one of the things that I did before, coming to the group is kind of in the discussion that was related to that meetup, I talked a little bit about, advising folks not to give up too much personal information, to kind of be more general in their questioning and stuff like that when they were talking to other people. So instead of saying, where do you work, say something along the lines of what field are you in, or, just trying to be a little bit more kind of general in nature. And put it out there to the group that is kind of something that we want to do, because we don't necessarily know who's in the group at this point. We haven't built any trust with anybody, and we don't really know what their intentions are and what their morals and values and all that kind of stuff are. And, that closely, highly specific personal information should only be released, once you know someone, once you've gotten to trust them and that kind of thing, and you have a genuine friendship with them and that kind of stuff. So we talked a little bit about that, and then I also put out a thing on a discussion, just kind of a note in the meetup group that talked a little bit about types of questions that would be appropriate, and some of those things just off the top of my head were, what got you into prepping, how long have you been prepping? What do you, what kind of thing do you prep for? What are you wanting to learn from this group? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Is there a specific subject that you would like to teach? Those kind of things. And that seemed to work pretty well. I mean, we didn't really follow it, down the line, but we kind of through general conversation ended up getting to a lot of those. And a lot of those topics and stuff like that. So it kind of gave a good thumbnail sketch of what each person's experiences have been and what they want to learn more about and all that kind of stuff. And it was a good friendly meeting. And the other thing we talked a little bit about with at least most of the folks that were there before we ended up leaving was that, hey, when you go to a meeting for the first time, you shouldn't drive straight from the meet to your home. You need to take a surreptitious route, kind of, go drive around a little bit, maybe go to another neighborhood, go around a block a couple of times, make sure that nobody's following you until you're reasonably certain and comfortable that nobody's following you before you go home. Because again, we just don't know when you're first meeting people, you don't know what people's intentions are, So anyway, that, like I said, we kind of all shook hands and decided to go from there. And it was, some of us exchanged email and cell phones and stuff like that. But, it was a pretty good meeting. So I think that it's a fairly good template for at least getting to know people who are interested in survival and prepping. It seems to me the way that Meetup works is that if people have ever searched in the past for certain search terms like survival and prepping and that kind of thing, then when you create a group that is named that they'll kind of suggest that group to those people. So it's kind of a cool way to get it out there and to find other people in the area that are interested in the similar kinds of things that you are. So that all went pretty smooth. One of the things that we kind of learned as a group pretty early on in the discussion was that it's not necessarily good to get into politics. It's not necessarily good to get into highly opinionated things about what disasters are coming and what's going to happen and why it's going to happen. It's a little less emphasis on why they prep and a little more emphasis on what you want to learn, what you can help teach, and that kind of stuff. And that seemed when the only times where the conversations got a little awkward was when folks' opinions maybe differed, and then it kind of got tense. And so we tried to kind of focus away from that and talk a little bit more. And it wasn't tense. It was more just maybe slightly awkward or whatever. But we kind of focused away from that and then focused more on just kind of what we wanted to learn and group goals and that kind of thing. So it was pretty cool. It was a good experience overall. I mean, I've always had in a lot of places that I've been, I've had military folks and people that I've worked with and stuff like that were at least somewhat of the same mindset and stuff like that. And in this particular job, I have that to a certain degree, but not as much. So I wanted to meet more local people, and so that's kind of what we did, and that was the template that I just laid out to you is kind of how it went. So I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, but I just wanted to throw it out as at least one successful way that you could get together with like-minded people. Now, whether or not this turns into a solidified core group, that works together all the time and even in a disaster situation, I don't know yet, but it's at least a way to make contact with folks. So I just figured I would share it with you guys. And it's a pretty low threat way. It seemed to be pretty effective. It didn't take a lot of time. It didn't take a lot of money to do this. And I'm sure that you guys could do this in your own town, as well. It's not that difficult of a deal. And I'm sure over time you'll get more and more exposure to people who are like-minded, and then you can decide, who you want to bring into your group. And I don't necessarily think that everybody that's in the meetup group will end up being some, part of my core group or whatever that, that I maybe share a little bit more about my preps with and that kind of thing. But some of them might be, or maybe they all might be. Who knows? I don't really know at this point. But you can differentiate that, just because you're in a meetup group or a Facebook group or whatever the case may be with some folks doesn't mean that you have to share everything with those folks, you know, and in fact, you shouldn't do that. You should really hold back and have some operation security, you know, and not divulge too many details about your personal information. But I bring this up because I think a lot of survivalists and preppers are very skeptical to step outside their comfort zone and interact with other preppers, you know, and it's precisely for that fear of giving away too much in many cases. But I think that you can do it in a safe and common sense way, and I think that's what I've tried to go about doing, and I think it worked out pretty well. But I would definitely be interested to hear your guys' comments on, you know, things that maybe I could have done differently, or suggestions for ways to improve, and, you know, that kind of stuff. And if you happen to be in the Cheyenne area, then you know, you can go to the meetup.com and look for the, I think it's called the Cheyenne Survival and either Prepping and Survival or Survival and Prepping Enthusiast group, and you could join up the group there, and you know, then you can come to the meetups and stuff like that. I think our next meetup, we might be going out to do fire building. I'm gonna take them out, and we'll go up to, you know, Medicine Bow or someplace, you know, in the area here, and do a little bit of just basic firecraft, you know, kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're in the area, we'd be happy to have you guys come along. I think it'd be cool. All right, well, that is pretty much it for, you know, my thoughts on how to start a prepping group, and at least the initial stages of meeting with other people. Like I said, I'll have some more stuff on this as we go along, and you know, we'll share kind of the successes or failures of it and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, guys, if you're not subscribed and you like videos that are on wilderness survival, disaster preparedness, and outdoor gear reviews, then I would definitely appreciate it if you click the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, then I also would appreciate it if you click the bell button down there, because that'll send you an email each time I upload a new video. You know, it's pretty easy to lose videos in your feed and stuff like that on YouTube. So, and as always, I definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button, when you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And don't forget to live the 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys.